During the Civil War, about 194,000 Union soldiers were captured and sent to Confederate prisons in the South. Usually, the exchange system would safely bring the soldiers home, but the exchange system had broken down, so the number of prisoners in the prisons became enormous. In July of 1864, the Confederate soldiers decided to create a new prison. The reason for creating this new prison was to move a large number of federal prisoners kept in and around Richmond, Virginia, to a place of greater security and a more abundant food supply. Soldiers and slaves from nearby plantations began clearing the land for this new prison. The new prison would be called Andersonville. The new prison was located near the town of Andersonville in southwest Georgia. The original prison covered 16.5 acres, but it was enlarged to 26.5 acres in June of 1864. The prison was enclosed by a 15-foot-high stockade of hemp pine logs. This was so that the prisoners could not escape. In late February, federal prisoners began to be transferred to the still unfinished Georgia facility. By July, Andersonville, built to accommodate up to 10,000 captured soldiers, was jammed with over 32,000 almost all enlisted men. Running in the middle of the camp was a stagnant and strangely river named Sweetwater Branch. This was used as the sewer as well as for drinking and bathing. There are no barracks. Prisoners were forbidden to construct shelters, and while some did make tents and flimsy lean-tos, most were left fully exposed. The soldiers were left to endure the harsh weather without any medical treatment. Besides the fact that the prisoners had poor medical treatment, they also had next to no food each day. Sometimes the prisoners would have a watery bowl of soup or a few tablespoons of peas each day. Prisoners were dying each day. In less than 1 year, more than 13,000 prisoners died at Andersonville due to diseases, starvation, or other prisoners killing them. Also, the prisoners were killed for crossing the deadline, which was a space that the prisoners could not enter, and when they did enter, they were shot. Most of these prisoners were buried in mass graves. Each body's number was branded deeply on a wooden stake that was placed above each mass grave. August 1864, 33,000 Union prisoners packed the camp. More than 100 prisoners died each day at Andersonville that summer. The advance of William T. Sherman's Union Army in September 1864 forced the evacuation of Andersonville. A little while later, prisoners were brought back into Andersonville. As the war slowly ended, so did Andersonville. Andersonville was open the entire time the war was happening, and shut down once the Civil War was ended. After the Civil War, the prisoners' commander, Captain Henry Wirz, was hanged in November 1865 for impairing the health and destroying the lives of prisoners. Meanwhile, Clara Barton and other government workers created a list of 12,912 prisoners who died at the camp. Andersonville's mass graves were replaced by a national cemetery, which is today still used as a burial ground for American veterans. Andersonville was a horrid and gruesome place. It showed the U.S. that a war like the Civil War could tear apart a country and even kill their own men.
And as we lie beneath the stars, we